An Archetype Guide, Some People Are Born Stereotypes. Chapter 1. Your Archetype. The Mind's Eye, Archetypal Visions. Your mind's eye is your soul. It's your pure essence as a human being. Don't dream about the illusions you get from the outside world. Dream about who you feel you are in your primal essence. That's your soul talking to you. As I got older, I naturally became the real me because I didn't care about fitting into society anymore. I remember at 13 hanging around with friends looking for action. We posed as older out-of-towners, then went down to the local hostels and stayed there. This was during summer vacation. We met some of the hippie poor people types at the hostels, smoked dope with them and hung around. We went to some guy's house who said he was a wizard into magic. We went to some big concert they used to have every summer in our city of Halifax, Nova Scotia, Canada. I remember wearing a hippie shirt with little mirrors beaded into it. I felt like a hippie minstrel gypsy free spirit bohemian. I was borrowing that archetype from my culture. Just a few years later I was at a military college trying to be successful in society. I was trying to find my way in the world. I was massively brainwashed by society until I was 27 years old. I was living in Bakersfield, California, jogging the boardwalk along the Kern River and Truxton Avenue at about 8:30 in the morning, watching all the cars going past me full of people going to work. I asked myself, why am I the only one here? It's because I have a natural standard inside of me of who I see myself as and want to be, not like them enslaved to society. Your archetype or archetypes are your real natural self. You could be a buttoned-up businessman, but off the job, you might see yourself as a curious wizardly-type dancing fool or another Marquis de Sade like the movie Quills portrayed. He was just trying to be himself. He tried to explore his sexuality. He went to jail. I'm against that. Explore life, but don't go off the deep end like all them serial killers getting some benefit out of what they did. Now I know who I am. I have a spirit that naturally gravitates towards long swims and long walks. It used to be running. I feel the need to do physical activities all the time, think my thoughts, then write them out even if I don't make a penny from them. It's the process that stimulates me. Get whatever is naturally in me out. These are my archetypes. It's the release of physical and creative energy that becomes a meld of an aesthetic spiritual feeling. I'd rather do these things than drink booze, do drugs, or be entertained by anything the world offers. This is the person I see myself as and the person I want to be. This is the pure me. Archetypes started with Carl Jung's concept of certain stereotypes of the characters in the tapestry of human life. Underneath the generic, phony face I put on for the world, I live as a modern-day primitive enjoying the fruits of the modern world but staying true to my roots as a human being. This is why I cannot and will not ever get fat. Because in my soul I am an untamed primitive. I owe it to myself to live by this. This is my standard of life and self-respect, my lifeblood. This is my inner core, my inner being. I go out and run around in the woods, swim in lakes, feel my power coursing through my veins and relish in it. This is what my inner soul tells me I am, another version of the archetype of a nature boy, nothing more or less than this. Your God gave you a dynamic soul when He conceived you. It was full of energy, inspiration, potential, and talent to do something good to great with your life, to purge this energy inside to a mighty level to make you feel great. But somewhere along the way, you got brainwashed by the world and the low-level carnal temptations like food, so now you're a plug, far away from living by your true nature. So what do? It's never too late to go back to your soul or go there for the first time if you've been living a brainwashed life up until now. The best you can ever do is to be true to yourself, and for every minute you're not, there will be disharmony within. It doesn't matter how far you are from those fantasy action shots of you in your finest form, your soul still brings them up from time to time. You might be ashamed of yourself because you're so far away from that person your soul is showing you, so you get rid of those thoughts of who you could have, should have been as fast as you get them, as you gobble down another tub of ice cream to give yourself some temporary pleasure. But that's the person you were born with, the blueprint to be. You are the only one who creates your life or lets it go by default by sitting around following pop culture entertainment and letting yourself get indoctrinated by the illusions of the world rather than following your own soul and living by it. The coolest thing in the world is your pure soul. The coolest place in the world is wherever you happen to be right now. Until you recognize this and live by it, you'll just be another generic, brainwashed, uninspired clone looking to either Entertainment Tonight or the Daily Stock Report for answers and a feeling of reassurance and fullness that all is all right in the world and you're connected to it. But ultimately these things never work because you always end up alone with just you and your naked soul, and until and unless you answer to that, you'll always be brainwashed, weak, lost, probably chubby and addicted to something to compensate for an empty soul. Every diet book is a scam because it's not about counting calories or the types of foods you eat. It's about having the guts to be true to yourself. That's the only question right there. If you live true to your soul, you will lose the weight and be proud of yourself. If you don't, you'll be fat and live in a constant state of inner disharmony. Archetypes and the physical body. Your archetype or archetypes is the person you were born with the potential to be. This is the pure essence your God endowed you with at conception. In the noble worlds of mythology and religions, your job in life is to honor this essence or archetype of the person you were born with the potential to be in order to add your particular, individual power to help humanity move forward in its quest for a better life for all. Wise, enlightened people listen to this inner voice and endeavor to live the life it tells them to live. If you don't follow your true nature and live out the archetype, you feel deep down inside you were born to be, you'll end up another lost soul on the scrap heap of humanity, out of harmony with yourself, feeling some empty, gnawing feeling inside but perhaps not knowing exactly what is causing this. God did not create anyone to be fat or overweight. God created all of us to eat healthy foods from His Garden of Eden as opposed to processed foods with chemicals in them, and He made us to do physical labor in building our houses, farming the land, hunting for food, picking berries, etc. He gave us feet to walk and hands to do things. I'm not saying our mechanized world is bad, just saying that it has divorced us from our true natures. Instead of walking outdoors to where we are going, we sit in a car. Instead of farming with a manual plow, we use a tractor. All of this divorces us from doing physical activities which we were naturally born to do. I use technology but I minimize it in my life. I choose to live close to my roots, my primal feelings, and spend several hours a day outdoors doing physical activities because I feel I must, because it's a part of my true nature. A good archetype of mine is the thinker/philosopher, which is why I think about things, observe the world and feel I have some wisdom to pass on to others, which is that most people are not living by their true natures. They're living by an artificial standard imposed on them by their culture. Your archetype is the person you fancy yourself to be in the fantasy images in your mind of you in your perfect, ideal moments. It should be something basic, primal, strong, sleek and beautiful, you in your mystical ideal state. Draw a picture of yourself as the beautiful, strong person you want to be. I have this image imprinted on my soul. I know I have to honor it to the best of my ability. This is why I wrote the book Diet Busters. This is the easiest way in the world to lose weight and keep it off. Identify that strong, beautiful archetype that is the person you want to be, then live to honor it. You don't have to count calories and follow stupid exercise regimes. Just know that's who you want to be, so you'll eat healthy foods and be an active, inspired person every day. When you're fat or overweight, you're violating your true nature, which is why I know all overweight and fat people are out of harmony with themselves, therefore not happy, despite all the arguments I've had with fat and overweight people in my local area where I live, telling me how happy they were despite their weight problems. I told them they were lying to me and lying to themselves. When you're not the person you picture yourself to be in your mind's eye, you're not happy. Nobody sees themselves as fat in their fantasy images in their minds. They see a sleek, beautiful, graceful, athletic person. This is the person you were born with the potential to be. The question is, to what extent will you honor it versus to what extent will you not, either through weakness/laziness or because you've been brainwashed to think some illusion out there is more important than following who you really are in your true nature. Picture yourself in your mind in your ideal self, the person you feel in your soul you could be, should be, and were born to be. Live to constantly work to make yourself this person. My archetype as a free being. When I was 5 years old, we had a cottage on a lake in the woods. I felt like an untamed bohemian free spirit, happy, wild and free. I ran around the woods with my dogs and my brothers, sisters, and my friends. I could swim across the lake by myself, and I used to row across in the boat and explore the woods on the other side. In my mid-20s, at least once every summer, on a hot night, I would stand at the shore of Grand Lake outside of Halifax at nighttime. I would take a hit of acid or a similar intoxicant, then jump in and swim the 2 hours across and the 2 hours back. In the course of those swims, I connected with all of primordial humanity before me all the way back to creation. 500 years ago, an Indian was doing this. 2,000 years ago, some African native was swimming across a lake at night in Africa. This is what we are. We were created to live close to nature and move our physical bodies. This is who we were in the Garden of Eden. I feel like a modern-day primitive living in a psycho-bamboozled, excessively materialistic world. I call this part of my soul the Tarzan within me. I have several other archetypes which I won't talk about here because this book is not about me. It's about slamming the self-help and life advice industries as big, phony, one-dimensional psychobabble bullshit and providing you with the most honest, wisest, freest, and truest formula on how to live a great life. Self-respect, honor your soul. My self-respect is the extent to which I honor the person I want to be by releasing large amounts of natural inspired energy every day, then rounding it out with my pursuit of hedonistic, sensual, and loving sensations. Because I live like this, I have a built-in standard inside of me of the person I see myself as and want to be. I see myself as an untamed wild man living in modern society as well as an artist of my life. This is my archetype, who I am in my essence as a human being. This one thing alone, my self-image of the person I was born to be, is the only thing I have ever needed to stay loose, lean and strong. I have never been on a diet, never counted calories, never paid attention to the carbohydrate, protein, and fat composition of the food I eat, and I know in my soul that I'm a strong, lean and inspired middle-aged man. It's who I am. My sense of identity and self-respect would never, ever allow me to sit around as a couch potato, generic, middle-aged dud, engaging in pop culture entertainment or stuffing my face so much that I have a visible gut showing. My inner standard prevents this from ever happening. My intuition tells me all the time what I have to do next to keep honoring myself. Everybody's standard in their souls is themselves as a beautiful, noble, strong person. Just honor it or follow it. That's all you have to do. Many people don't understand the beautiful, glorious, holistic being you should be, motivated by an inner force which contains a mythical image of the person you want to be. You have to honor the individual you see yourself as every single day. Live by the image in your soul of you in your finest moment of perfection, being the essence you were created to be, some beautiful, mythical creature living a glorious life in the Garden of Eden. Follow your soul straight, strong, and true, and you will become the person you want to be. 1. Eat healthy foods. Eat less food. 2. Do physical activities. 3. Live the life of an artist such that you're always inspired and always doing something as opposed to sitting around watching TV or doing something frivolous on the internet. I'm constantly active because my inner standard tells me that every day I must release X amount of physical energy, then X amount of creative energy for 2 reasons. 1. In order to satisfy myself that I'm honoring my pure soul. 2. In order to reach a state of consciousness that I call transcendence. You get it when you release a bunch of inspired energy from your soul. It's a combination of the serotonin endorphins my body is producing by doing these things and a kind of aesthetic spiritual sensibility about myself where I'm thinking, hey, I'm taking my life for a pretty good ride today. I'm doing exactly what I was born to do. It doesn't get much better than this, to feel the power and strength in your body and release it to a good measure. I saw some phony expert on TV, they're all phony to me, promoting his cutsy makeover diet book saying the major rule to losing weight is don't eat for at least 3 hours before you go to sleep. He doesn't give a reason why. He just says it's no good to have that food in your stomach while you sleep, so I'm thinking to myself that's when I eat most of my food, just before I go to bed. For me, it's the best time because my body will be in a resting state while it's digesting, not like if you eat during the day and the food is digesting while you're doing things, interfering with your abilities in whatever activities you do. Why does my cat eat in the morning just before he's ready to go to sleep for the day? He was out all night running around. He had to feel light to get around. Why do you think animals go off for a rest or a snooze after they eat? Be more like an animal than a clone who follows all that artificial knowledge the system has been shoving down your throat. Who started this eat your breakfast myth? I'll bet it was somebody like the head of marketing at a cereal company who wanted to sell cereal. If I'm a tiger planning to do some hunting in the morning, do you think I'm gonna eat breakfast because they tell me I need energy to break my fast since eating last night? I intuitively know I must be light and spry, and to do that, I shouldn't eat anything. My intuition tells me to never eat breakfast because it would just interfere with the physical activities I do every morning. I want to feel light and free. I don't want food in my gut despite every system psychobablist out there telling me to eat breakfast. I eat at night when I can relax, enjoy the food, and it can digest in peace without me running around. You might find some one-dimensional drill sergeant types following some regimen, but this is all artificial. It's not like they're enjoying the journey. They are using monumental amounts of willpower to achieve their goals. I don't use willpower much. It's better and easier to follow the flow of natural inspiration within yourself. I enjoy my life. I don't get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to run 10 miles. I wake up when I do and run then. I live by the natural inspiration that comes from my mythical vision of the person I see myself as. This archetype was inside of me when I was born. I know because I was doing those things as a 5-year-old kid, and I'm still the same. The archetype of the genetic human seed. I cannot afford to waste my time making money. Louis Agassiz. We do not believe in ourselves until someone reveals that deep inside us something is valuable, worthy of listening to, worthy of our trust, sacred to our touch. Once we believe in ourselves, we can risk curiosity, wonder, spontaneous delight, or any experience that reveals the human spirit. E. E. Cummings. In order to live free and happily, you must sacrifice boredom. It is always not an easy sacrifice. Richard Bach, Illusions. This, whatever you're doing now, may be your last act on earth. It may very well be your last battle. Focus your attention on the link between you and your death, without remorse or sadness or worrying. Focus your attention on the fact you don't have time, and let your acts flow accordingly. Let each of your acts be your last battle on earth. Only under those conditions will your acts have their rightful power. Otherwise they will be, for as long as you live, the acts of a timid man. A hunter gives his last battle its due respect. It's pleasurable that way. It dulls the edge of his fright. Carlos Castaneda, Journey to Istlan, Chapter 9. Here is a test to find whether your mission on earth is finished. If you're alive, it isn't. Richard Bach, Illusions. Inspiration is the only real fountain of youth. The goal of life is to figure out how to stay inspired forever. You do this by having a regular routine of activities that excite and drive you. You should have a strong personal desire to be in harmony with your essence/soul. Awareness of what's in your soul could be straight, clear, true, and pure, or it could evolve gradually. Your soul contains your natural tendencies for things that give you intense emotional excitement. This should be the fuel of your life, the only thing that really matters. These few activities, soulful pursuits, should absorb you and intrinsically satisfy you enough to sustain passionate, inspired commitment for a lifetime. The enlightened soul strives to take full control of his or her work and life. Most enlightened souls don't want to work for others, so they either start their own businesses, do some kind of creative independent contract work, or live out their lives as the proverbial artist, some starving, some doing quite well money-wise. In any event, they own themselves. I've lived enough years on the poverty end of the scale as defined by society, but it didn't bother me much because I had the basics of what I needed to live comfortably according to my standards, which means I don't need much. But the thing is that I totally owned all my time. I had the freedom to do as I pleased, and I did with joy. I didn't want to work some dull job somewhere. I chose my frugal life in order to own it without being in bondage to money and materialism all the time. Life is simply an unmapped canvas of ongoing time. Enlightened free spirits know this and take full responsibility for this ride of experience known as a human lifetime. Everything is inside you, all your potential for happiness. You don't get taken in by all those fake illusions the system tries to dangle in front of you to buy your soul, things like trying to get you hooked on money, material things, status, fame, position, tourist travel, amusement parks, etc. You have an inner core of stability and inspiration that runs your life. The way I see it, the deepest life you can live is to try to probe your mind and even go beyond it to discover this essence inside of you, that may tie into a common essence of humanity beyond just your individual, preordained whims and desires. I get these deep, inspired visions here and there naturally, but most often with my use of recreational substances. I live in a romantic haze of eternal archetypes and the collective unconsciousness. It's a great way to live. Don't let them fool you with their negative propaganda. How do you find out who you are? You explore your life and don't just accept the package deal presented to you. Nothing is so dear and precious as the finite time of your life. Being yourself enlightened means you go to bed every single night of your life knowing you have a purpose with things to do in the morning. The goal of life in the real world is to earn enough money doing the things you want to do to give you the freedom to keep doing the things you want to do. An enlightened free spirit wants to get at what really makes him or her tick and live by it. He or she knows there's nothing fascinating happening anywhere on planet Earth that he absolutely must be at or do in order to feel fulfilled, because his feelings of fulfillment are within himself, while a brainwashed clone is always looking outside of him or herself for fulfillment, thinking that something out there is gonna do something significant to make him feel good about his life. It's like these people trying to be American Idols, feeling crushed if they are kicked out of the competition. Why don't you just work on your craft day by day and be happy that you've found your calling and are doing something you love to do? The world is polluted and many people are polluted by it, always looking for a sense of fulfillment by following something like the sports fan who cheers for some professional team who are a bunch of overpaid guys who could care less who they play for as long as they get the biggest contract. But the biggest pollutant of all is probably the self-delusion a lot of people live by, thinking they're really cool and fly according to pop culture standards, like they're living large in some cosmetics commercial or a big bad dude in a so-called action movie. You either got that enlightened sense within yourself that your life is fine regardless of all that stuff out there, or you're just a lost soul looking for love and approval from all those things the system has set up for you to go for, telling you these are the things you must want and strive for in order to be successful and be a cool, happy, happening citizen. In the book The Murdering of My Years, Artists and Activists Making Ends Meet, 2003, edited by Mickey Z, there are some statements like, consequently, at the tender age of 5 or 6, we are taught that different does not belong. The 24 individuals who have shared their stories in this book, have made the premeditated decision to become an activist and/or artist and, by definition, be different in a culture that values sameness while marginalizing individuality. Everywhere we are inundated with the American theology of individualism within the entrepreneur model. The heroes that are packaged and sold to us are Wall Street speculators, professional athletes, and digitally or surgically enhanced celebrities. The dreams we are encouraged to fulfill seem to be limited to appearing on television, purchasing consumer electronics, and gambling on the lottery. Civil society is vanishing while fortitude is measured by bungee jumps, morality is dropped along with cluster bombs from 15,000 feet, and solidarity has been reduced to waiting in line for hours to see a blockbuster film. The only way you get to really be a winner is to be true to yourself. Have the guts to find the inspired power that lives inside of your soul. Be strong enough to live by it. Be wise enough to parlay it into the means to earn your cash. Then go off into the sunset with your soulmate equal if you're into that fairy tale, romance thing, which a lot of free-spirited types aren't. They're too free to commit to anything but life in the moment. Enlightened free spirits take what comes and live it for the straight transient experience it is, with no strong attachments to anything that requires commitment or responsibility that might stifle the free easygoing flow of life coursing through their veins peacefully, unhassled by the world, except when they want to be stimulated by what's out there on their own terms, which is what the definition of free spiritism is. The real purpose of life, as far as living in the capitalist world of material reality goes, is to find the truth and beauty in yourself, express it in such a way that you help, entertain, and or inspire people, and they pay you for it. If you want to live free, read this book and try to develop your primal divine spark to feel the way Vincent van Gogh probably felt one night looking up at the stars painting Starry Night, or how Thomas Edison felt when he was on the cusp of creating something new. Chapter 2. The Journey to Your Archetype. Our soul's house are archetypes. Our souls spit out idealized technicolor action shots of us in our finest moments, being who we were born to be. These are your archetypes, your pure essence as a human being. You're either being noble and true by following them, or you're a generic, lost soul following some illusion from the society you live in. My soul has given me one simple, clear image of the person I should be. I am a strong, free, natural male, even though I'm starting to be old. The thinker who wants to analyze his life as a case study of one, to understand it and understand the deepest mysteries of the universe to the best of my ability, my way, without interference from what somebody else tells me is knowledge. The artist trying to express my ideas of beauty, truth, and perfection purely and nakedly, away from everything I was brought up to believe in. Zorba the Greek, the bohemian hedonist, the free-spirited natural guy hooked on sensations and mind-altering experiences, who doesn't give a damn about anything except for feeling high in the moment. I strive to honor these simple archetypes. I'm pure. I know exactly who I am. The people you deal with, even your most cherished loved ones, cannot give you a great feeling about your life. They can cheerlead and give you love taps to help soothe your sore spots for a little while, but as soon as you're by yourself, it's just you alone again, with the way you feel about your life, which never goes away. The only way you can feel great about yourself most of the time is to follow your archetype, and release all that pent-up energy that's inside of you. All the psychobabble, New Ageism, religion, material goods and pop culture status in the world cannot come close to you making a great effort to keep your soul strong by constantly releasing your pure, natural energy. Why are jackpot lottery winners the exact same people they were before they won the big prize? It's not like they're permanently happier now, there's a new gleam in their eye or a fresh spring in their step. They buy some stuff and nothing changes. They're same person they were before. Your state of consciousness should never change if you're true to it. You should have that one solid, unchanging archetype that is who you are. It should be a happy, easygoing, inspired, free-flowing, strong state of being, but many people follow illusions from the outside world which pollute their true natures. Unenlightened people constantly have a sense of emptiness inside because they're not living in harmony with their true natures. As a result, they're always looking for something outside of themselves to fill the hole to make them feel better. Capitalist society has exploited this emptiness by creating a glittery world of consumer goods and pop culture entertainment which can only distract you or numb you over for a while. The real problem is that you are out of harmony with your true nature. This is the universal disease of modern Western society. People wonder why they can't find true love. You can't find true love until you love yourself enough to be willing to love someone else for no other motive than your pure love, not as a crutch to cover your inner sense of emptiness or self-contempt. Modern Western society sells us this grand illusion of life and weak people buy into it, sacrificing the pure archetypes they were born with, then wondering why they still feel empty inside even though they're walking billboards of capitalist excess and pop culture coolness. Virtually every problem in life except for the practical ones of poverty and health stem from the same thing: people don't have the guts, inspiration, intelligence, originality, or fortitude to discover their true natures, then honor them with their own personal standard of how they should live by releasing a good dose of their natural energy every day. They become blobs of cultural indoctrination, out of harmony with themselves, following the lies from out there rather than themselves purely. Most of them will never realize why they can't get no satisfaction out of their lives, why they can't connect to that transcendent feeling of oneness with the gods that most of us instinctively crave but only a few of us ever get to on a sustained basis, commonly called in the vernacular in the groove, being unconscious, or get in your groove back. The hero's journey. I have no idea where I will go on this journey, but I know I must take it. Martin Luther King, Jr. Curiouser and curiouser, cried Alice, now. I'm opening out like the largest telescope that ever was. Lewis Carroll, Alice in Wonderland. Something hidden. Go and find it. Go and look behind the ranges. Something lost behind the ranges. Lost and waiting for you. Go. Rudyard Kipling, The Explorer. A hero is someone who does the best he can even in the worst of circumstances with what he's got. He never gives up. Joseph Campbell. I learned to master the tremblings of my limbs, to control my heartbeat and my breathing, to wipe away the sweat that burned my eyes. Dushan Jersey, Explorer. A hero ventures forth from the world of common day into a region of supernatural wonder, fabulous forces are encountered and a decisive victory is won. The hero comes back from this mysterious adventure with the power to bestow boons on his fellow man. Joseph Campbell, The Hero with 1,000 Faces. The hero's journey is generally a self-absorbed, self-centered warrior process of being who you are. Then once you get there and ride it for a while, you find enlightenment, wisdom, and nobility within, so life moves into another phase, to help others with the wisdom you have. Wisdom leads to one thing, a sense of inner accountability to do something to help the sad plight of the world. Carl Jung called it the statesman's phase. It's finding a greater tolerance and understanding of the world around you to share yourself with it. Even though I believe your soul is what it is and never changes, I believe that the way it unfolds is a gradual process of differing intensities loosely identified as the athletic, alpha phase of youth focused on the arrogance and strength of physical power. This is the warrior, adventurous phase of life for the conquest of it plus the craving for all manner of sensuous and aesthetic experiences in an aggressive, I will get my share of living my way. The statesman stage of wisdom. The spiritual phase of using whatever positive energy you have to leave the world better than when you entered into it. Along with Joseph Campbell, the power of the myth, the masks of God, the inner reaches of outer space, the portable Jung, the hero with 1,000 faces, bringing to the forefront this universal journey of the soul as the journey of life practiced by heroic types throughout history. Carl Jung, collected works of C.G. Jung, too, was also a great believer in past myths that currently shape our individual and collective lives. More recently, Dan McAdams expanded on this concept through the book Stories We Live By, Jean Shindola Bolin with Gods in Every Man, 1989, and Alan Watts and Elliot Elisophone in Erotic Spirituality, 1974. William Blake in The Four Zoas wrote, "Four mighty ones are in every man. A perfect unity cannot exist but from the universal brotherhood of Eden. The universal man, to whom be glory evermore, Amen. This universal man is made up of four facets which define the full spectrum of the masculine archetype. The father, the gentle patriarch, the statesman, stability, warmth, structure, justice, order, kindness, compassion, helper of the less fortunate. The warrior, cavalier, adventurer, achiever, the young conqueror, conquistador, the aggressive fighter, self-control, toughness, aggression in protecting his territory, which is his family, property, possessions, dignity, etc., and persistence in going for what he believes in. The artist, creativity, imagination, accessing the soul within to release your powerful hidden subconscious energies. The artist also uses whatever knowledge and wisdom he can find to better his life and the life of others by being a healer and a shaman. The lover, compassion, intimacy, friendship, cooperation, an experience of the full sensual nature of life in all its aspects, an aesthetic love of life, the ability to feel other people and relate to them, seeks out and tries to create a better, more peaceful world. The lover in us keeps us from acting like savages and letting our primal violent warrior sides take over. In the modern world, we're taught to go to school to be molded into good citizens, then in order to be successful, we go to college to further become entrenched in the establishment mindset, after which we take on a job and become part of the rat race. Our boyhood rituals are Cub Scouts, a conformist venture geared to produce conformist boys. Then later we either join the military, a sports team or fraternity, get drunk and watch sports on TV as part of the coming of age ritual into manhood, and this is as good as it gets. For nonconformists, the true ritual into manhood is the journey known as the hero's journey, where you simply go out into the world alone, travel for a while, work at different jobs, meet different people, try different things, live in solitude and with an eclectic mix of people in a variety of settings, all to get the only thing that's the true teacher, experience in the real world with other people and experience of the inner soul, followed by the analysis of it. Society is interested in taming the primal instincts out of man to domesticate them and make them functional working clones, while the true journey of life is to constantly move from your current level of consciousness to a higher one, which can only come by experimenting and experiencing it as a free being in a freewheeling way, at least for a little while, before you settle down to do the few things that are your true identity. But an enlightened person never really settles down, because they know they must constantly inspire themselves day after day by reaching for their physical, aesthetic, creative, loving, transcendent limits, not all the time but a lot of the time. You may settle on a soulful pursuit or two later on and dedicate your life to them, but up until that happens, life should be the ritual of the free exploration of the hero's journey if you truly want to get enlightened. It's very simple. Detach yourself from everything you've ever been taught to believe in by your culture to take the time to explore what lies hidden away in your true soul. For most of us, a materially comfortable life and the pursuit of career success keep us occupied with the one-dimensional things of the outside world, which is not bad in and of itself, because you have to take care of yourself financially. But there is a more important path in life, provided you can get past all this stuff, to take the journey to explore what's really intuitively inside of you, which a lot of people never do because they're comfortable with the one-dimensional superficial world we call society. In fact, many, if not most people, don't set out to find their true identities. They think they know their true identity by making choices from the options offered by their society, but they're still just brainwashed clones, not totally free to live the lives they could live if they followed their souls. The fear of uncertainty and fear of life itself stops many people from doing things to explore their lives. So often fate has to intervene, roll out the carpet from underneath you, strip you of your comfort level such that you have nothing left but you, whereupon you can either go forward to finally find the real you or wither away because life didn't go according to the plan you had all set up. Most people never find their true soul until they lose something they value and are forced to get real about life, which is why I believe desperation is one of the greatest tools of enlightenment around, because it forces you to stop and take an honest look at your life, whereas if you didn't have the crisis, you'd still be going along, working your dull job, paying your bills, eating your junk food, watching TV, etc. It's like the yogi Laleshwari said, when your impurities are burned through suffering, you will become more lustrous than a mirror in the sun, more pure than the most perfect of pearls. If you have an addiction or something stupid you do to excess to get a good feeling, it's a sign that you're trying to compensate for an empty life. The only solution is to find the flow in your soul and live by it, then addictions will be meaningless to you. The old self dies and the real you is reborn, this time living by what lies in your soul/subconscious mind. Man has an angst within himself that he must expunge in order to live a life true to himself, and only after he gets his craving for adventure, experience, and savagery out of his system will he be calm enough to settle down and focus on domestic pursuits. Youth is the righteous time for the classical hero's journey, not when you're worn out at 65 after a life of hard work. Society wants us to start careers too early. It's better to live freely and just do part-time/casual jobs for a few years while you're exploring your life. Be a Renaissance man. I believe the Renaissance man is the fully rounded individual who does a lot of his aesthetic, exploratory, adventurous, and creative living with fervor while he's young, and as he moves on into middle age, he still does it, only it's not as urgent anymore. He lived his youth to the hilt, climbed his mountain and planted the flag, so to speak, but now he can pursue a more temperate life and dedicate himself to more social, communal, traditional, and intimate pursuits in a more accountable way than before if that's what he wants. But some people stay intense and extreme all the way through, right to the bitter end, but there are only a few around like this. Men of all ages and all cultures are stuck on showing their shallow egos off to others in some fake standard of manliness, kinda like mine is bigger than yours, I got more stuff than you, I'm the baddest ass in the bunch. They're generally very poor at showing love except through work. I believe after all the jockeying of youth, a 40-ish Renaissance man should live like Jesus, Mohammed, Buddha, or Krishna, live and let live, pass some of your energy and love on to others. For lack of a better term, try to culture your so-called feminine side, which is not really feminine traits but your true state of mind buried under many layers of cultural brainwash about what it means to be a man. You're afraid people might think you're a wimp or a fag for acting like a gentle person, but in strong people, gentleness is a virtue. Men are deathly hooked on ego, to look good and successful out in the world, when an enlightened man is one who can get past this to live by what's truly in his soul without having to impress others by putting on a phony front in any way at all. He just lives for the goodness within himself and expresses it freely to the people he loves. To be a lover means to love, which very few men do openly, but in order to mature properly, we should get past the warrior mentality to become gentle lovers too. You don't have to lose your warrior mentality in how you approach your work or guard your territory, but you can move beyond it to embrace the ones you love with open acts of tenderness and gentleness. The perfect man is a strong warrior and nurturing lover at the same time. Apollo in Greek mythology was a man's man, rational, practical and strong. Dionysus was a woman's man, creative, sensual, soft, aesthetic, a lover of life and a lover of people. A combination of the two, along with the tempered wisdom of the old patriarch Zeus and the good looks of Adonis, make the ideal man. A man who goes too far with soppy feelings out in public will lose respect from other men, but if you act with compassion and a bit of reserve to keep your dignity, you will be looked upon as the strong, gentle type. A Renaissance man has compassion for the spirit of life. If you can subordinate your primal aggressive ego to be a lover and a giver, you will be a rare breed of enlightened man. This is the goal, to get beyond ego, to be yourself the way you are without trying to impress others, and show compassion and love for others too. There's an interesting book out there called The Phallus, Sacred Symbol of Male Creative Power by Alain Danilou, innertraditions.com. Books about myths are at hashtag 291.13, number 398 or BL 311 at the library. Books about men are at hashtag 305.3. e-classics.com. Backside of the hero's journey. After the intensity of youth fades, there comes a point when something may happen or the clock takes its toll and you slow down. You reach a point within yourself where you have nothing to prove to anyone but yourself. All you have to do is honor your own standard. You don't have to be a macho clown and try to prove how masculine you are to the macho clowns you're surrounded by. This process brings with it calmness and wisdom. You played the game, you've been there, done that, shot your load, you were part of the race of life as best as you could, but as you get older, you can accept yourself more, slow down a bit, go over to other worlds, perhaps partake in more relaxing, sensual activities, or just relax more without the intense urgency of climbing the great phallic symbol as many young men and women are obsessed with. There comes a time in the lives of many people, though not all, when they realize that all the stuff they're striving for in a capitalist, goal-oriented world is basically meaningless beyond basic comfort. It doesn't matter how many compliments you get, how many people cheer for you, how many trophies you win, how many fair weather friends you have. Regardless of how bright the lights are now, how many people think you're fantastic, how much of a star you are out there, none of it matters. It can't fulfill you. Ultimately, nobody but your few close intimates give a damn about you, and even they have to spend most of their time stuck in their heads living their own lives. It's you in your own journey, living your own life. The older you get, the more you'll be relegated to worn out, prune status, and the more you'll live in your own space anyway, as your gang from youth dissipates and each goes their own way and dies. The less beautiful and charming you'll be as you age, the less compliments you'll get from strangers, so even that as an ego boost will go. The only thing that's permanent is what you feel inside your soul. The only thing that ultimately matters is to honor your intuitive inner standard. But how many people in a capitalist world are enlightened enough to realize this? Everything on the outside will change, but your soul will stay the same. You will get older, your body will deteriorate. You will probably make more money, but it won't really change your soul all that much, so the game is to know your soul now, culture it and stay close to it. It's not healthy to be intense all the time. The happiest people are those who work hard at what they love to do, then go over to the sensual, pleasurable side and enjoy it for a while. They don't have to compete with the young guys anymore. They've been there, done that. It's no big deal. The game is to ride the journey in a smooth flow through thick and thin. It's not about the drill sergeant type guy who gets up every day at 5 o'clock in the morning to lift weights, then goes out to conquer the world in a prearranged strategy, to unequivocally prove his male, macho superior ego every single day of his life, always on edge with that tough, phony exterior to show them all that he's the man, the winner, the big tough unfeeling phony with the phony sense of humor geared to make him look easygoing, but he's secretly competing on the inside. He doesn't get it. He's too tight, too one-dimensional, too onto his one-track game. Life is a spiritual flow of inspiration, love, and hedonism, not go get them, gung-ho attitudes all the time. Go get them for what? Nothing's that important except to enjoy the journey and save yourself for the long run. Work hard at your soulful pursuits for a while, then relax and enjoy your life. Life is a dance. You're not trying to run straight for the finish line of achievement. The cool dude is prancing around, going back and forth with the rhythm of the waltz, not running straight ahead to break some record. You will die someday. It won't matter how many people will attend your funeral, or even if you have a funeral. You'll be dead, in another dimension. You're not that important that people will think about you after you die. Don't kid yourself. People who go to funerals are there to socialize with the living, not think about the dead. They got their own lives to worry about. Life is for the living, death is for a termination of life on planet Earth. Enlightened people are mature about their mortality. Practice kindness over own-upmanship. Instead of trying to beat people, help them and the karma comes back to you. Old bucks still play the game, but they're doing it for fun now, for the experience and the inner standard, because they know that no matter what they do, they will have to do it all over again tomorrow to stay inspired about life, and nobody else really gives a damn, so they have to create their own lives every day by doing whatever it is that inspires them and gives them pleasure. Archetypes and the collective unconscious. Myth is the secret opening through which the inexhaustible energies of the cosmos pour into human cultural manifestation. Joseph Campbell, Hero with 8,000 Faces. Carl Jung was more mystical than any mainstream psychologist out there. He was free enough to explore his life unfettered, unlike the box that this so-called science of human behavior has locked the study of life into. Jung believed that somewhere in our cells, in our DNA, brain, or wherever, in our souls if you will, we house a storehouse of memory from all of humanity before us, or maybe even from God or our extraterrestrial creators, called the collective unconscious, which is in there partially hidden from conscious reality, invisibly determining the life paths we take for ourselves. He coined the term archetypes to describe some of these different universal roles we take on in life. On some level this makes a lot of sense, but, of course, we also subconsciously learn these roles by the stories of the culture we live in. We identify with an archetypal role and strive to become the embodiment of that mythical figure within the context of our culture, even if just on a subconscious level in our fantasies. Simply read some of the books by Joseph Campbell and Carl Jung and the ones listed below, read some books about myths, legends, fairy tales, classic novels, and cultural stories in general. Check out websites about myths and legends. Bulfinch.org, e-classics.com, info.dc.de/gna/interpedia.greek_myth, jcf.org/pub, genehouston.org, myth.com, parabola.org, pibburns.com/myth, the-tech.mit.edu/classics, troll.com, 888-998-7655, Legends of Different Cultures, wcsu.ctstateu.edu/library. Look for the universal characters in them and find ones that you identify with. More likely than not, you will find a few archetypes that fit for you. Books about Carl Jung's work are at #155.264 or BF175.5 at the library. Books about myths are at #290-291 at the library. Of course you have to work for a living, you just can't quit the human race and decide to become Jesus, Tarzan, Adonis, Dionysus and Apollo, or Wonder Woman, Aphrodite, Sheena, Florence Nightingale, Joan of Arc, Helen of Troy, Cleopatra, and Amazon Queen all in one, but underneath your social mask is the real you, who you are in this mythical, gothic, fantasy world. Find it and develop it to fit into the real world. Some of the more common archetypes are as follows: the kindly mother, the wise old man, the young noble hero, the fair maiden, the wild Amazon woman, the wizard, the mad scientist, the healer, the doctor, the lover, the weaselly con artist, the fool/court jester, the jolly fat guy, the big dumb guy, the smart nerd, the courageous explorer, Columbus, Captain Cook, the teacher, the warrior, the wanderer philosopher, the friend, the craftsman, the artist, the holy man/shaman, the good-hearted young, flawed hero, Luke Skywalker, the more seasoned slightly cynical but good-hearted hero, Han Solo, the Vestal Virgin, the Jezebel whore slut, the dark evil man, Darth Vader, the cunning villain, Joker, Riddler, the pioneering woodsman, Daniel Boone, Davy Crockett, the tycoon, Citizen Kane, the conqueror soldier, Alexander the Great, Lord Nelson, the statesman, Winston Churchill, Jimmy Carter, the lawman, the lone sheriff of the Wild West, the political crusader, Ralph Nader, the moral lawyer defending the rights of the downtrodden, Al Pacino in the movie And Justice for All, Gregory Peck in To Kill a Mockingbird, the nonconformist rebel, the bohemian hedonist hippie, Abby Hoffman, Jim Morrison, the helper, Mother Teresa, the handyman technician, Bob Vila, the kindly simpleton, Scarecrow of the Wizard of Oz, the entertainer, George Burns, Bob Hope, the writer, Shakespeare, Plato, the fair judge, Solomon, the scientist, Copernicus, Newton, giant, ogre, oaf, witch, dwarf, crone, trickster, the good fairy, etc. Many gods and goddesses of old were symbols of archetypes. The biggest one is the father figure patriarch Zeus, the boss, the leader, the creator, often associated with the sun and the sky in times of old. Mothers in general were associated with fertility, Mother Earth, who gave the people their food and water. As far as the man-woman couple goes, many cultures had symbols for the union between man and woman like sun, male, and moon, female, earth, woman, and sky, male, yin, female, and yang, male, and the Hindu god and goddess Shiva and Shakti. Adam and Eve and Tarzan and Jane are the two archetypes I think about couples, a man and a woman living together in their own little Garden of Eden. Look through this list and find a few concepts that fit for you. Make them your theme, part of your identity, and try to live by them. Acheron, Woe. Achilles, Ajax, warrior. Adonis, beautiful young man, god of love. Aglaia, brilliance. Amazon, female warrior. Anteros, jealous lover. Aphrodite, Venus, goddess of love. Apollo, tough guy, valiant young warrior, achievement-oriented, noble guy. Ares, Bellona, war. Artemis, Diana, huntress, goddess of fertility. Astrea, goddess of justice. Athena, Minerva, goddess of wisdom. Atropos, goddess of destiny. Aurora, dawn. Calliope, goddess of arts, sciences, poetry. Clio, history. Cocytus, whaling. Cronus, Saturn, harvest. Cybele, nature. Demeter, agriculture. Dionysus, Bacchus, fun, wine, and partying. Eringes, avenging spirit. Eros, Cupid, children of the Aphrodite, the goddess of love. Eulerpe, music. Euphrosyne, joy. Fate, goddess of destiny. Fisher King, wounded hero, too ill to live, unable to die. Lost youth. Flora, flowers. Fortuna, fortune. Frigg, Norse god, sky. Gorgons, female monsters. Hebe, Juventus, goddess of youth. Hecate, goddess of sorcery, witchcraft. Hercules, strong man. Hermes, Mercury, speed, messenger, communicator. Hestia, goddess of home. Hades, Norse god of night. Hyglaia, health. Hymen, marriage. Khepra, Egyptian, morning, sun. Lithe, forgetfulness. Lucina, goddess of childbirth. Melpomene, tragedy. Mnemosyne, memory. Momus, amusement. Morpheus, dreams. Narcissus, self-love. Nemesis, retribution. Neptune, Poseidon, ocean, water. Nike, victory. Nu, Egyptian, chaos. Osiris, Egyptian, underworld. Parsifal, innocent fool, eternal youth. Penals, house. Plutus, wealth. Pomona, fruits. Priapus, regeneration. Sylvanus, forests. Syrinx, sexual nymphs. Tantalus, cruelty. Tellus, earth. Terra, earth. Thalia, bloom, comedy. Then Atos, death. Thor, Norse god, thunder. Uranus, heaven. Valkyries, Norse god, virginity. Vulcan, fire. Chapter 3. Archetype resources. Men's archetype websites. akamaiuniversity.us/mensstudies.html. Celtic-myth.com. denisamaritungianalyst.com/dance_and_archetypes.htm. devipress.com/mykindex.html, archetypes, as emanations of God. divorce-for-men.com/library.pdf. dtmms.org/reading-room/male-archetype/elder-wisdom.htm. dtmms.org/reading-room/male-archetype/men-transition.htm. fashionclick.com/fc26/fc26_fashion_men02.htm info-articles.com/categories/philosophy.html menstudies.com/newlook/online/archive/toc.php?id=114 menweb.org/woundedmasc.htm mountaintop.ca online.pacifica.edu/pgl/stories/storyreader $374 pancua.net/tilde_blake/theory3.html paulvitz.com/fatherhood.html ronsilliman.blogspot.com slate.com/id/210010 smcm.edu/users/bhkrondorfer/bookmm.html sou.edu/english/idtc/issues/gender/resources/mentax1.htm Women's archetypes. Women have a very rich place in the symbolism of ancient archetypes, all the way from Isis of Egypt, Venus of Rome, Inanna of Mesopotamia to Aphrodite of Greece to Mary the Virgin Mother of Christianity to the ugly hag Medusa. Women archetypes have generally been portrayed as Vestal virgins, divine brides, fertility, strength with compassion, healers, nurturers, mothers, intuitive, gentle wisdom, witchcraft, rebirth and rejuvenation, and on the other hand, Jezebels, femme fatale, queen of Shebas, Delilahs, seductresses, charmers, users, exploiters, gold diggers, and self-centered frivolous vain conniving bitches. In order to find out who you are at the core of your soul, find out what your pure essence is and live it out. If you do this, your life will become simple. You will know your archetype, live by it and screw the rest because it's all crap beyond your true real self. According to the book The Goddess in India by Devdutt Putanik, innertraditions.com, 800-246-8648, there are 5 faces of womanhood. Mother Earth, close to nature, wise, practical. Primal Mother, nurturer. Dancing Nymph, seductress. Chaste Housewife, family. Amazon Goddess, tough, manly and vengeful. Try #155.5, #291.082 or HQ777 at the library for books on the subject. Some interesting books are Daughter of the Goddess, The Sacred Priestess by Naomi Ozanik. Diving Deep and Surfacing, Women Writers on Spiritual Quest, 1980, Carol Christ. Goddess, The, 1997, Shukruk Hussain. Goddesses in Every Woman, 1992, by Jean Shindola Bolan. Knowing Women, A Feminine Psychology, 1974, Irene Claremont de Castillo. Listening to Our Bodies, The Rebirth of Feminine Wisdom, 1983, Stephanie Dimetrikopoulos. Lost Goddesses of Early Greece, 1981, by Charlene Spretnak. Of Woman Born, 1977, by Adrienne Rich. Meeting at the Crossroads, Women's Psychology and Girls' Development, 1992, Lynn McKell Brown and Carol Gilligan. The Female Eunuch, 1971, by Germaine Greer. The Feminine Face of God, 1991, Sherry Ruth Anderson and Patricia Hopkins. The Girl Within, 1989, Emily Hancock. The Woman's Encyclopedia of Myths and Secrets by Barbara G. Walker. To Be a Woman, The Birth of the Conscious Feminine by Connie Zweig. Women of Wisdom, 1984, Tsultrim Alian. Women Who Run with the Wolves, Myths and Stories of the Wild Woman Archetype by Clarissa Pinkola Estes, 1992. Women's Archetype Websites. bardiyakala.com/kali.htm, Mother Goddess as Kalith Feminine Force in Indian Art. academyanalitikart.org/balanisdeanu.htm. aefraser.com/dtwwa, Amy E. Fraser's book, Dissecting the Western Woman Artist. allaboutbranding.com/index.lasso article =428. amazingsays.net/categories_essaysam/literature/a.html. amazon.com/heroines-journey-murdoch/dp/0877734852. biblio.com/books/28158359.html. The Women's Will of Life, 13 Archetypes of Woman at Her Fullest Power. catholicducation.org/articles/religion/re0441.html. cinema.ukla.edu/women/sobchehack/sobchehack4.html. cosmoetica.com/top64-to61.htm. cybergirl.com/cool. efn.org/grave-accent-djz/religion.html. english.uiuc.edu/maps/poets/m_r/pounds/fem.htm. femiana.com. feminist.com. feminist.org. fespinal.com/espinal/english/visua/n117.htm. frisian.com/gender.htm. linandrews.com, Feminine New Ageism. manywoman.ebsqart.com. mm.com/womenpower. mnstate.edu/mla/thesis projects/sample prospectus 3.doc. online.pacifica.edu/pgl/stories/storyreader $536. ou.edu/education/elp/vita/carpiak/readings.htm. paulvietz.com/fatherhood.html. serpentina.com/origin/critique-emetony.html. tir.com/tilde-annie. uky.edu/artsciences/classics/gender.html. wildwomenadv.com. Mythology websites. aros.org, Archive for Research in Archetypal Symbolism, a pictorial and written archive of mythological, ritualistic, and symbolic images. mythichero.com. bullfinch.org. earthwisdom.com/myth. pantheon.org/myth. pantheon.org/mythica. pibburns.com/myth.